Overdrive today, the iconic Hero Karizma makes a comeback. Rohit rides this motorcycle on Delhi streets to find out whether it lives up to its legendary status. We also check out the second generation Lexus LM350H. Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I am Sunny Dutt. For the past 2 months, the biggest buzz in the motorcycle space has been the re-entry of the legendary Karizma motorcycle. Now, this is recently launched in the country at an introductory price of 1.72 lakh rupees. The motorcycle is being called the Karizma XMR 210, and we are here to find out just how different it is from the legendary iconic motorcycle that we had seen back in the 2000s.
The legend returns. That has been the buzzword for Hero MotoCorp for the last 2 months, stirring up a lot of memories of the original Karizma and then leading up to the launch of this, the 4th generation Karizma, now known as the XMR. The original Karizma was a tall boy, but it never looked lanky. If anything, it looked imposing. This motorcycle looks a little too sleek, almost as sleek as the Extreme 200, especially for a sports tourer. I would have liked it to have a more bulky or a more muscular stance, which unfortunately it doesn't get. What it gets, however, is a very sharp, sporty stance, something that will feel just at home even on a racetrack. Despite the compact dimensions though, the XMR tips the scales at a little over 160 kilos, which is a bit heavier than the older Karizmas. However, out on the road, out on the move, it doesn't feel heavy at all. It's very nimble, very easy to maneuver. Of course, that stance is still a little bit on that sport touring side, which means that despite the clip-ons, despite that absolutely sharp nose, it still isn't a very committed riding posture. It's still a pretty relaxed riding posture. So long distance comfort shouldn't be a problem. Long distance comfort of the seat, I don't know yet because I've not really taken it that far. However, for the city, it feels quite nice. It's a narrow seat. So despite that 810mm seat height, which is again on par with the original Karizma, it doesn't feel too tall. You can easily get 2 feet flat on the ground. So managing this motorcycle in tight parking spaces, on the move, and in terms of the overall comfort as well, I think it's pretty good. Think of the XMR to be a smaller alternative to the Apache RR310 then. Similar riding posture, more performance than the R15 of course, and well, a similar shade of red as well. The yellow looks better in my opinion though. And while the paint quality is good, there are a few inconsistent panel gaps and you're going to have a hard time keeping the dark visor devoid of any swirl marks. Another USP for the motorcycle is an adjustable visor height. So all you need to do is press this button right here and then you just pull this up. So this is the level of adjustability that you get. Now honestly, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. Even at its tallest position, it's probably just going to reduce a little bit of buffeting, but that's about it. It's not really going to give you a lot of weather protection. So from a touring standpoint, I'm not sure how much this is going to help. The headlight of the XMR features 2 projector lamps which come on automatically when the surroundings go dark. That is a big plus. The overall assembly though looks like it came straight out of the Hero Zoom. The tail light is mounted high and looks sporty and appears like a high-resolution version of the Passion Pro's tail light. But with such design elements, the XMR tries to establish a familial connection with the rest of the Hero lineup. It is Hero's best attempt yet at a full-fed bike, and it does have plenty of street presence that sets it apart from its rivals. This one gets a steel trellis frame. It's got a nice rigid feel to it. It feels a lot more stable when you're attacking corners. Even high-speed lane changes feel quite nice on this motorcycle. The stability overall is quite good. Complementing that is a broad set of tires as well. You get a 140 at the rear and these are 17 inches of course. Hero's definitely improved quite a bit in those last 20 years, but there's still quite a bit of creaking coming off these panels. Out of the box, the XMR takes on bends quite well, but for sportier riding, I would definitely swap those MRF zappers for stickier rubber. And the 17-inch wheel diameter opens up a lot of options. The overall ride quality is actually quite good. It's a bit on the firmer side, like I said, not as soft as the original Karizma, but at the same time, that has its advantages in the way the motorcycle handles around bends. Now, the previous Karizma, we remember, the front end feel was always lacking. It would have a lot of nosedive under braking. If you went a little too hot into the turn, there would be a lot of movement from the chassis, from the overall motorcycle. All of that is nicely ironed out with this bike. The low-speed ride over poor road conditions feels a bit unsettling. but the suspension feels more supple as the speeds rise. There is no traction control like some of its rivals, but even on the dusty and some of the wet roads in Delhi, I never felt the need for it.
You get dual channel ABS on the motorcycle, which is good news. However, the brake lever feel, it's a bit spongy.
The engine is lower in capacity than the older Karizmas, but is technically superior with its 4-valve VOHC specification. It also has liquid cooling, which works just as intended in some of the traffic jams of Delhi that I was stuck in after our shoot was over. The exposed frame doesn't heat up too much either, and the overall ventilation for the fairing is well designed.
Now, in terms of the power and torque output, Hero claims that it is the best in class. Take that with a pinch of salt. The acceleration feels crisp. It feels quick. The mid-range delivery is really good. You can be in third and fourth gear for most of your traffic commutes, and you'll still be able to pull quick overtakes when you need to. Even at triple-digit speeds, the torque delivery is actually quite good. So if you are looking for a good sports touring package, this might still deliver. It's just the size that keeps going against it.
The throttle response is crisp, but I would have liked a lighter clutch effort. A 6-speed gearbox with a slip and assist clutch is definitely a plus though. To sum it up though, maybe for someone like me who has a rich love story with the original Karizma, the new one feels like a completely different breed of motorcycle. But most people who will walk into the Hero dealerships right now may not have any preconceived expectations from the Karizma nameplate. They would most likely draw comparisons with the likes of the Yamaha R15 and the Gixxer 250 SF instead. And from that perspective, the new Karizma XMR is definitely a winner.
The segment in which the Hero Karizma XMR has launched in finds itself in a very fierce competition against rivals such as the KTM RC200, the Yamaha R15 V4, the Suzuki Gixxer SF250 and also the Bajaj Pulsar RC200. Now we will get to calling all the manufacturers to get the motorcycles so that we can get a comparison story for you pretty soon. On that note, let's take a very quick break here on the show, but coming up on the other side, we'll get you a very detailed review of the Lexus LM350H.